That's not
Sid works a European
real.
tour against The Undertaker every night right after WrestleMania. And he even works a double shot against Warrior on April 26th. He's working him in both Baltimore and Boston. Warrior wins both matches by DQ. And after these two matches, well, that's the end of Sid for 3 years. Meltzer would write, the continuing saga of Sid Udy took another strange turn this past week. The former Sid Vicious, now Sid Justice, at least as of last week, was officially suspended for a period of no less than 6 weeks by the WWF for its all-inclusive term, unprofessional conduct. This came after Justice stormed out of the Boston Garden after a match last Sunday night with the Ultimate Warrior because he was unhappy either with the way they were going to the finish or the finish itself. The finish was him losing by DQ in about 4 minutes. And the working proficiency of his opponent, which many have termed a pot calling the kettle black. As the week went on, the story was Justice had, in this order, quit, been fired, or been suspended. On Monday, Papa Shango was contacted and flown to the Northeast for a show that night in Rochester to take Justice's spot in main events against Warrior from his Midwestern bookings, since word was out that Justice had gone AWOL and quit the promotion. Justice hasn't appeared since, including missing television tapings on Tuesday and Wednesday. And on Sunday's Tokyo Sports, it was reported that Justice, who is believed to have had more than 1 year left on his WWF contract, was now negotiating with New Japan, although New Japan's office didn't confirm the story. This marks the 3rd straight year that Justice hasn't worked during this time of year, i.e. softball season. 2 years ago, while recuperating from a collapsed lung, the then Sid Vicious no-showed World Championship Wrestling house shows in which he was supposed to appear in the corner, since he hadn't gotten clearance to wrestle, in lieu of apparently playing in a softball league locally, which gained him the reputation Softball Sid. Last year at this time, he quit WCW after attempting to get his contract renegotiated due to the lure of the promised WrestleMania main event against Hulk Hogan the following year. And then he took a few months off, just working television tapings before starting on the road in August with the WWF. So you're not with the company, but when you hear that Sid's gone, are you shocked? And does this talk of softball start to come to be a thing again?
Well, probably it's the first time that the softball talk on a larger level was really discussed. Cause as you said, it's the 3rd time it happened. Coincidentally, this time of year, softball season, he went away. So that was definitely the scuttlebutt and the rumor and the innuendo and what have you. It did surprise me that Sid was gone this quickly because he was somebody that he was the kind of guy that Vince would love and that Vince would look at to mold and make the guy. So that part of it shocked me, but I wasn't there to be able to tell you what the dynamics were during any of that relationship for that first part.
In June, Meltzer would report that the reason Sid left is because the Ultimate Warrior was supposed to kick out of the powerbomb. And Justice didn't want him kicking out of his big move, so he just quit. But he told friends that he was planning to leave by July anyway, so he just hurried it up. At the end of September, it was reported that both Hawk and Sid Justice were still under contract, but suspended, meaning they're not getting paid, but they can't go work anywhere else. A few weeks later, though, it would come out in the Observer that Sid had been given his release and he's able to begin negotiations to return to wrestling. And Meltzer would say, best bet is Japan, and they'll be sorry as well. At this point, do you think he had earned a reputation in both major North American companies?
Yes, without a doubt, as being pretty difficult to deal with and not being willing to do business.
On a November 22nd, 2011 edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer confirmed a story where he said Sid failed a drug test prior to his WrestleMania 8 match with Hulk Hogan, but he was allowed to do the match and then go on the European tour. But after the tour, he was told he was going to serve a suspension, which resulted in Sid quitting instead of trying to serve the suspension. So instead he quit and, I guess pursued a career in softball. Did you ever hear the story about Sid failing the drug test before WrestleMania?
I really hadn't, and it just does. It makes sense.
Sid said the piss test was after WrestleMania, not before, and that's what he called it, a piss test. And he said that Vince knew exactly what he was on because Sid told him explicitly. And Sid even says that he was using somebody else's piss during this time anyway, so he didn't get caught, which I can't believe is something anybody said out loud ever. Sid has also said that it was a mistake leaving WCW to go to the WWF at that time. Well, he wound up going back in May of 93, and in October of 93 is when that unfortunate incident happened with Arn Anderson on that UK tour, which we've talked about a little earlier.